Hi again. So that's the exciting part where I actually show you how to ventilate hair into your draw-through frame so that you get a rootless part, which means hidden knots. Okay, so again, how is this setup, which is called a draw-through frame, how is this setup made of? It is made of two different foundations. An upper foundation, which is very much like lace. That means that it has tiny little squares that allow you to ventilate through because it's easy, you just go in and out. And it has a second foundation, which is a silky foundation. That's why it's also called French part, as if that fabric was French, just to make it more fancy. It's basically a silk part. Also, it's a very, very soft white or flesh tone foundation. And when you ventilate, you are going to ventilate from the top foundation, on the top foundation, which is on the lace foundation. And then you are going to pull the knots through the bottom, which is the silky foundation. And when you are finished, the bottom is going to be the top is going to be the bottom, and these two foundations are going to be sealed. Alright, so let me show you how we do. I'm going to move the camera a little bit down. And I am going to put this frame right here so that you're able to see what I'm doing. But really, just so you know, when you buy it, you have a clamp, and you can just clamp it into your table. So I am taking the hair from my drawing card, which I will explain you in a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few hair at a time, and I am going to make a loop, just a few hair, let's say 8 to 9 hair together, and this loop is going to last for a few good times. So I'm going to take this into my lace foundation, and the way to penetrate the lace so that it's easy is actually to go in a diagonal fashion and not go directly up and down or side by side, but to go diagonal. Diagonal allows you for a better penetration of the ventilating needle so that you don't waste a lot of time. As I said, it's already extremely time consuming. So I go in a diagonal fashion. I take my loop of hair, but I don't put all of that hair. I just put 1 or 2 hair. Here I'm going to put a little bit more just for the sake of the camera so you actually are able to see what I'm doing. Okay, I pull through, I wrap, and my hand goes up, and I pull down and secure my knot. Okay, so this is 1 knot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip a little bit of space and come next to it and poke again and do a second knot. And exact same way, really the best is for you to use 1 or 2 hair at a time. And you go again, take a little space, and poke your lace again and ventilate. And basically you're going to have to ventilate this whole foundation that is made out of lace, like I said. And when you ventilate, you have to make sure that you ventilate not on a straight line and not on the column, but rather brick layers. So that means that you're going to have 1 knot, and then you're going to skip a little bit of space and do another knot and another knot, and then you go up and you do in between the knots that you just did. So basically, for me to draw you, so you have an idea of this concept, which is, by the way, used a lot with hair, whether it's extension or anything else. And what I'm talking about is to ventilate in brick layers, not in column and not in straight line, so that you are able to distribute a small quantity of hair in a large area. And that means that you are going to do that brick pattern. So once you have put the hair in the length of the part that you want, whatever you're working here, this is going to be the size of the part that you're working. So just so you know, the average is 3 inch by 4 inches. That means that it's covering the whole crown. But of course you can work with a smaller size and a smaller width, and you can do just according to what your customer needs to cover an area. Let's say if there's hair loss involved, or if there's a bald spot, you can work specifically in one area. So once you are finished ventilating on the lace side, what you need to do is take your ventilating needle, go under your foundation, and what you need to do is you need to poke exactly where you ventilated the hair. And you need to aim. That's going to take, that's going to take a little while so that you have enough experience to go exactly to the right spot. Okay, let's say here, for example. So you see what happened is the needle penetrated the two foundations from the bottom, and the needle was targeting the exact knot, and now I take the hair on that exact knot, and what I do is I twist that hair right around my ventilating needle so that it is wrapped up around the needle, and now that the needle has the hair, the needle is going to be coming to the other side of the foundation and pull the hair through, and that's why it's called draw-through frame. It's pulling the hair through so that ultimately the hair is coming to the inner foundation, which is the one that is silky. And you have to do the same thing again and again and again until you are covering the whole area of the foundation that you want to create your rootless part. And when you are finished, what you need to do is open up the screws, release the two foundations by opening the 4 screws that are securing the two foundations on your mounting. Okay, that's super easy. And then you put the two foundations together. And then what you're going to do is take transparent nylon thread, which I purchased from Walmart. It's like $1.99. And you use it with a sewing needle, and what you're going to do is you're going to be stitching your foundations together in order to seal the two of them together. So let me just show you how we want to do that. You are going to be sewing in a quilt shape, and this absolutely no machine. We're talking handwork. And you know how the quilt stitches with like little squares going on both directions? So that's what you want to do. That's how you want to sew it, so that your stitches are actually securing the two foundations together. It's actually sealing the two foundations together. And of course, when you do that, you have to look into the upper foundation being the top foundation. So we have really inverted the setup. And the lace, which was the upper foundation when we started ventilating, is now your bottom foundation. So these two foundations are sealed together with transparent stitches going side by side. And when you do that, you are going to have a little bit of a challenge, because the hair that you just put in is going to tend to get into your stitches. And what you need to do, you need to ignore it, and you need to keep stitching. Okay, and you make very small stitches. If you need me to demonstrate the sewing, I have no problem. Just let me know. Okay, and you're going to stitch on both sides, even though some of the hair gets pulled into your stitches. When you are finished, you are going to take a comb, and this is a brush, but you're going to take a comb, and you just comb the hair out, the hair that was cut up into the stitches, and it comes out 100%. You have no problem. Okay, so this is very important to make sure that your two foundations are sealed together, and you don't want to forget that critical step. If you forget that step, then you would be very much like so many Chinese factories that I do not recommend. And these companies are doing very bad work, actually like nasty work. I have one I can show you. And they're not sealing the two foundation. And what happens after a while is that the hair goes inward because there's space. The two foundations are not sealed together, so there is space. And because the hair goes through as a hidden knot, it's just pulled through. The hair is not secured on the other side, right? So the hair has a tendency to go back inward, and it gets caught in between two foundations. And what happens is on your customer's partial or wig, there's a poofiness that is created that is coming from the hair being, inside the two foundation, actually caught in between the two layers of the foundation, and that's really terrible. So usually if it's like a small defect, what I do, just so you know, I cut open the inside of the rootless part, and I open it up a little bit, and I see what's going on. And usually some hair is cut up, I take baby scissors and I cut on both sides just to make sure that I release all that hair, and then I put the part together and then I sew it together so that it doesn't happen again. And most of the cases I need to reventilate hair. If you have a rootless part that is damaged and the hair has failed from, you cannot repair it with your frame anymore because it's already out and made and sealed. So what you need to do is to ventilate very gently with like one hair at a time to make sure that you, I'm sorry for the phone, to make sure that you are adding hair where you need to add hair, but you're not able to use the rootless technique as a repair. Okay? So now let's just move on, because if not I have to start this video from the beginning, so I do apologize about the phone ringing. Okay? And what I want to tell you is that when they do the work in China, they do amazing work. Not everywhere, like I said, not these companies that do like very poor quality work, but the company I'm going to send you to, they do amazing work. And what I mean by amazing work, I have an example here. See, that's a rootless part that's multi-directional. That means that you can really part anywhere you want, and you have the scalp effect and very natural effect, and the two foundations are sealed. I hope you're able to see, just like I told you, with the transparent thread. Okay, and what they also do is they have a special glue, and they seam all the contour with a special glue, which we don't want to do that in America, because 99% of the glues they use in China are toxic, you know, and they work in like very bad conditions, but it's not something that we want to do ourselves. Okay, so this is a rootless part that's made in China from the company that I give you. It's very, very good work. So I don't think you have any problem. Again, if you want to do it on your own, I just, explain you the technique. And to do a part that would be that size, I don't know the speed of your ventilating, but if you are able to ventilate, let's imagine a quarter, the shape of a quarter. If you're able to ventilate that in 25 to 35 minutes, then for that size, because it is hidden knots, you would have to think about no less than 20 hours. Okay, so that is really time consuming, but if you want to do it and you're ambitious, go for it. Okay, now I want to explain you one more thing, and what I want to explain you now is the direction of the hair. You see, when you pull through to the other side, as you pull through the hair, without even realizing, you are pulling in a certain direction. That direction is going to be critical to achieve various hairstyles. Why is that? Because if you are pulling through with all the hair coming forward, then you are sewing it or using it as is, and the hair is coming forward. If you are pulling with the hair going back, it's going to be coming back. Now, of course, you can switch it and you can put it to the direction you want. So if you have the hair coming forward, for example, let's look here. See, the hair is coming forward. So I can use it like that, and the hair will come forward, but I can also turn it to the other side, and now the hair comes backward. But if you want to do multi-directional, when you are pulling the hair, you have to make sure that you are pulling straight up. And by pulling straight up, you are going to be able to give the hair the possibility to go on both directions without a problem. So just make sure that you do that. Otherwise, just to show you some styles, this is, for example, with the hair coming frontward, right? And this one is with the hair going backward. So it's a different look. But you need to know ahead of time, as you're doing it, you need to know exactly what you're doing. All right? Now, there's one more thing I want to tell you, and it is the density. The density means how much hair are you going to put into your rootless part. If you are putting a lot of hair, then it is going to be called full density, and actually it's not such a good idea, and I'll explain you why in a minute. If you're putting a small amount of hair, it's called light density. Okay, so I recommend light density. The reason why is that light density gives you the possibility to see through the scalp effect, which is the beauty of the rootless part. Otherwise, if you were doing a high density, you would have something that would be a little bit challenging, because there's a lot of hair and it's usually coming frontward. And also you have a situation like that, that even though it's made beautifully, there's so much hair that you don't see the scalp through. Okay? Now, if you are working with the Chinese company that I'm going to provide you with the link, you want to make sure that you communicate properly with them. And the best way I found to communicate with them is to ask them for a sample ring of foundation. Now, this sample ring contains all kind of foundations, stretch cap, lace cap, this and that. In your case, it might be clearer and more on target to ask them to prepare for you a sample ring of all the different foundation that you can use for the silk part. Okay, you have difference in colors depending if you work with Caucasian or African American. You want to make sure that you have the right color of foundation and of course texture. Okay, the lace part, which is going to be hidden, we don't care so much because it is going to be hidden, but just so you know, if you are doing it on your own, I don't recommend you to purchase the foundation from DeMeo Brothers, which is the company where I always purchase both the ventilating needle and also the draw-through frame. The reason I don't recommend is the prices are extremely expensive. This is the foundation that is a little bit like the lace that we're speaking about, that has the small holes, and they sell it for $278 per yard. Ouch! This one is a silky foundation, and they sell this one for $398 per yard. So it's like, come on, the price of gold, you know. So as opposed to that, I have connections in Germany, and they sell like amazing foundations. You can send them an email and request a catalog. And in terms of the lace foundation, I have found someone to be really good, and it is in New York. It's B&J Fabric, and they have actually two different colors. In this case, it's not really important what color, but they call it a tulle, Italian tulle foundation, and it's only $16 per yard. Okay, so save the expense and do it that way. Again, this is the technique. I'm glad to answer any question you might have. You can either call me at 443-447-1880, or you can send me an email if you have any question or if you need more assistance. Alright, thank you so much, and I enjoy teaching you, and I hope to teach you in person one day. Take care. Bye-bye.